Well, hello there, lovely and loyal patrons. It's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. On Weekend Wake Shop 283, I showed you guys my 5 favorite chromatic exercises for maximum chromatical impact. And on this very special Patreon exclusive video, just for you guys, my true believers and loyal supporters, I'm going to tell you guys what I didn't tell those suckers. There's a lot of good information I left out of that video because I want to share it just with you guys, the coolest of the cool. Because as we all know, variety is indeed the spice of life, and if you spend hours and hours and hours toiling away at 1, 2, 3, 4, like I did a lot in my younger days, you're gonna start to lose your mind. So it's important to introduce some variations into these things. That way you can get more out of it with both hands. Let's start with the first exercise that we talked about, the good old classic 4-note chromatic exercise. So probably the first variation on that exercise that I learned is to take it through string skipping instead of going straight through the strings. Like instead of E, A, D, G, B, E, what you do is you play it up on the E, skip a string so that you're going to the D string, go back a string to the A, skip to the G, back, skip to B, back, skip to the high E. So it's E, D, A, G, D, B, G, E. Then on the way back down, you're going to start off on the E, skip to the G, back to B, D, G, A, D, E. Again, the whole basis here is skip a string, go back, skip a string, go back. And this is really one of the best exercises that you can do if you're a beginner looking to improve your ability to find the string that you're looking for, you know? I remember back in the day practicing stuff and like looking for a certain string and hitting the wrong string instead just because my pick didn't necessarily know where to find the string I was looking for. You know, that part of my muscle memory hadn't really developed, especially because I was just used to going straight through the strings like that. Whenever you practice things with string jumps in them like that, it's going to increase the intelligence, the IQ of your pick hand and help you learn how to find whatever string it is you're looking for, no matter where it is in relation to the string you're playing at that moment. Another great variation you can add on to the classic is mixed fingerings, okay? It doesn't have to be played as 1, 2, 3, 4 every single time. You can mix this up into something more interesting, like let's say 1, 3, 2, 4 on every string. 1, 3, 2, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4. On the way back down, I would reverse that pattern. 4, 2, 3, 1 on every string. Again, all you got to do is to take 1, 2, 3, 4 and put them in any order you want to. 1, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3. Whatever floats your boat. It's all stuff that's going to help you build up a lot more coordination. And again, I like the fact that when you do it that way, you have ascending and descending happening on the same string. That's something that I really liked about the Tomo exercise in the original video, is it's not just straight up when you're going up the strings, straight down when you're going down the strings. It's a mix of the two. Because here's the thing, ascending on the guitar is easy. These fingers can be super lazy and still be holding down their notes, and we only hear the one that's in the front, right? But descending is different. Every finger has to clear out of the way so you can hear the finger that's being played behind it, you know? So whenever you have exercises like this, 1, 3, 2, 4, you'll notice that 3 to 2, I had to clear out of the way so that that note could be heard. It builds up a lot of coordination and strength in those fingers whenever you do those kind of randomized patterns like that. Now let's move on to variations on the 3s exercise. So as I pointed out in the original video, the great thing about this exercise is it really forces you to perfect your alternate picking, considering that the picking gets flipped every other string, right? Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. You got down changes, you got up changes, the whole 9 yards. But what I didn't tell you in the original video is that because this is all 3 notes per string, it's also the perfect place to practice your economy picking. So whenever you practice these with economy picking, on the way up, it's going to be like this. Down, up, down, 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 down, up, down. You'll notice as I played through that the last downstroke that happened on every string kind of went through and parked itself on the next string, right? Like this. Down, up, downstroke that just kind of parks me on the A string. Then the pick just kind of lies there and wait to play the next down, up, and then it parks on the D string. Down, up, park, down, up, park, down, up, park. By practicing that way with that very deliberate, park and wait kind of mentality, it helps you strengthen up your rhythm while economy picking. That's the biggest challenge with economy picking, is staying in rhythm, because your pick can just slip through the strings at lightning speed, So it's really a matter of learning how to slow it down enough that you can stay rhythmic with it. While you're descending, you can practice going up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And the same rule applies. That last upstroke parks me against the next string. My pick is now sitting on the B string. It won't make any noise. Any of that little chirp that you're hearing right now gets drowned out by the note, And then up, down, up on the next string, and so on. Now, one of the best things you can do with this exercise is use it to challenge your rhythmical perspectives and play this with a different time feel than what I described. Now, in the original video, I talked about how since that is a 3-note grouping, it's great to play as triplets, right? Triplet, 2-palette, 3-palette, 4-palette. But it's a really great idea to actually practice this as 16th notes. 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. You're going to have this kind of disagreement going between what you're hearing rhythmically and what your hands are feeling physically. It sounds like this. So here's my metronome going at 80 BPM. Imagine what 16th notes will sound like at that tempo. Right? And apply that time feel to this exercise. It'll sound like this. Again, you'll notice my accents. Always trying to accent the downbeat in there. Learning how to ignore information that your fretting hand is giving you and applying whatever rhythmic feel you want to it is really important in becoming a super flexible player that isn't just bound to playing, things that feel like 3 as triplets, things that feel like 4 as 16th notes. You want to be able to do any figure with any time feel. For example, I could even go back to the good old classic 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise and practice that as triplets. It'd sound like this. Again, think about what triplets would sound like. Triplet, 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 right? Now I'm going to play the good old-fashioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 exercise, but it's going to have that triplet feel to it. Again, think about what triplets sound like. Triplet, 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 triplet. Now move your fingers through that 1, 2, 3, 4 pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, and so on. Practicing these exercises with a time feel that they were not designed for is really going to help you out and make you a more hip and rhythmical cat. Now let's move on to the third exercise, the good old innie-outie flipper exercise. Now in that one right there, I told you guys how I like to practice that because it's got good inside and outside string changes, which is a true pain in the ass for me to do. But here's the thing about this. You can use this exercise 2 other ways. You can use it to increase your string skipping skills by placing the other note instead of on the adjacent string, but 2 strings away. So I'll play like E, D, right? 1E, 2D, 3E, 4D, and then invert that. 1D, 2E, 3D, 4E, okay? And then move that to the next string pair, A and G. That is a true life ruiner because not only are you doing inside and outside picking, but you've got a hurdle in the middle too. That's especially brutal with the inside picking for me because I'm going down and trying not to hit that middle string as I do the upstroke, or the upstroke here, trying not to hit this on the way to doing a down. It's really freaking hard. And actually, usually whenever I'm confronted with really difficult string changes like that, I use my right hand in a different way and kind of cheat the whole thing, which is the other cool variation that you can use this exercise for. It's a great way to work out your hybrid picking skills. Check this out. I'm going to do the string skipping thing. So I'm going from E to D, E to D. And what I'm going to do is, instead of like skipping with my pick like that, I'm just going to use my middle finger. See that? It's a pick stroke on the E, hybrid pick D, pick stroke on the E, hybrid pick on the D. On the way down, it'd be the opposite. I'd start with the hybrid pick note on the D string, downstroke on the E, hybrid pick D, downstroke on the E. Again, a really great way to get used to using that hybrid picking. I know people are always hitting me up asking me for great hybrid picking exercises. That is one of the best right there. So be sure to take the flipper, make it a harder string skip, and start using your middle finger if you want to improve your hybrid picking chops. Next up, let's talk about variations on exercise number 4, the Tomo Special. So the way I showed it in the original video was to take that exercise and just walk it through the strings, right? Well, you can do it that way, but another great thing to practice is just the way that Tomo prescribed it in his original video, which you guys should totally check out. It's got some other great exercises and stuff in there too. He took it and instead played it across a single string like this. So let's say I started off on the D string, first position. After that last 4th fret note, use your first finger here and jump up 1 fret. Jump up. So on. That wasn't it. There it is. Again, as you're sitting on that string, you can really focus on shortening up your pick stroke and stuff if you want to work on that. Really killer exercise too, because it helps you work on those position shifts. Position shifts are something that I see a lot of players struggle with, you know. Mainly it's because they're holding on too tightly. It's just like 38 Special said, if you grip too tightly, you are going to lose control, not just pretty words. This really comes into effect with our playing. Because whenever I'm trying to do that delicate 1 finger, fret shift right there, if I'm holding on to the neck with like a death grip, it's really, really difficult. Whereas if I learn to keep a lot lighter grip with the thumb on the back of the neck, it just becomes a matter of just sort of inching my forearm into my body a little bit, and my hand won't stick to the neck or try to stay locked into a position. It's really important to practice that stuff and remain super loose for it. This is also really important when you're practicing this descending, because you're going to be leading with your little finger like this. Right there. Just inch by inch down the neck. And again, if you've got that death grip, that's not happening. So this is a really great exercise to work on the random finger access stuff, the shortening of the pick stroke, as well as learning to stay nice and relaxed with that thumb on the back of the neck. That way you don't get stuck. It's also one of the best legato workouts ever. You could just sit in one position and go. All day, and you would become like a legato master. That's really hard to do. It's really hard to stay in time, especially on the high strings, because there's just so little sustain. You've really got to work those hammer-ons and pull-offs. This could also be a great place to practice that kind of Allen Holdsworth style pull-off, where you don't do a pull-off, you do more like a reverse hammer. You'll notice that this finger wasn't holding down and this finger ripping off to it like that. It's more like this finger floated, and then the nanosecond this one came off, that one just hammers down. I'm not really that good at it. I don't do it very often, honestly. But I probably should, because it sounds so cool when you hear guys like Brett Garsted and Allen Holdsworth, obviously, Tom Quayle, all these other players play with that reverse hammer-on style. I think it sounds so smooth. It sounds more like a clarinet or something like that than a guitar. So maybe I'll start introducing that into my practicing so I can become a hammer-on from nowhere, no pull-off, reverse hammer-on, whatever, master. And lastly, here's a couple of variations you can do on the good old-fashioned Punisher exercise that so many of you guys are familiar with. Now, in the original one there, we talked about, consecutively dumping notes onto the next adjacent string, right? Like that. You could do this with string skipping as well. So instead of dumping notes from the E onto the A string, I'm going to dump it to the D. Okay, that's my next rap album. It's going to be called Dump It to the D. It's pretty catchy stuff. So it sounds like this. Starting off on the E, going down here to the D string with my first finger. First two, first three, and then lastly all four. Yep. Then I'd think about the A and G strings. And so on. Again, that's the really dangerous part about exercises like this. You got that hurdle to work over, If you really want to work on your picking, put an obstacle in between two strings and you'll watch your picking get way more smarter super fast. It's a huge pain in the ass, but it's worth it. And if I was descending, it would be like E string, and I'd dump notes onto G. B to D. Again, maintaining alternate picking through the whole thing is a nightmare, but it's totally, totally worth it. Another variation, too, that you can work on with the Punisher exercise is to use kind of the mixed picking legato method that we see so many players use, where essentially what you do is you pick the first note on a string and then do the rest as hammer-ons or pull-offs, right? Now, the thing about this exercise is that it gets really tricky because initially I'm going to have one pick stroke and 4 hammer-ons. And again, the object here is to pick the first note on every string. So that means I'm going to be picking one note on the A, then immediately picking another note here on the 2nd fret E, followed by 2 hammer-ons. So initially it was like pick, hammer, hammer, hammer. Round 2 is pick, pick, hammer, hammer. Then you're going to have pick, hammer, hammer, pick, hammer, hammer, pick, pick, hammer, hammer, hammer. That's really hard to say. Then think about A to D. And if you're descending, it would be the same idea with pull-off. So it's pick, pull, 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 pick, pick, pull, pull, pick, pull, pick, pull, pick, pull, pull, pick, pull, pull, pull. That is maddeningly hard to say. And to play, too. Playing with that legato style requires really quick, intuitive motions with the pick. To strike the first note that happens on the string, do as many hammer-ons and pull-offs as you need to, then when you move to the next string, strike that note first. Again, it really requires a lot of intuition and lightning-fast reactions. And whenever you practice exercises like this that aren't just like a regular pick 2, 3, 4, pick 2, 3, 4, pick 2, 3, 4 kind of pattern, it's really going to help you develop those killer instincts that you need to play lightning-fast legato lines with the pick strokes happening in just the right spots. So there you go, guys. Variations on all 5 of those exercises. That way you guys can get even more out of these things. Like I said at the end of the original video, don't obsess over this stuff. These are great warm-ups. They're great for conditioning and stuff. But get out of the gym and play some music every now and then. Warm up with this stuff, but don't make it your life's work. Again, these aren't musical things, They're technique things. After we get the technique down, after we harness the power of the body, it makes it all easier for the mind to do its work and to get your creativity and your music out there. So don't just obsess on these things. Practice them for sure, but remember, there's more to life than chromatic exercises. Make some music. Thank you guys, as always, for watching and for the support. It really means more to me than you guys know. Thank you so much. Zora, our gigantic dog, just had her 2nd ACL surgery, and a dog is called a CCL, but whatever. She had to have her 2nd ACL surgery, and she's recovering from that right now, and we were able to finance said surgery because of the support from you guys. So thank you guys so much. You're making my dog walk better, so the least I can do is show you guys how to play better, right? One hand washes the other, as they say. So thank you so much for the support. It's been fun as always, but I am starving to death, and I can already tell you that I'm going to be up till 3 or 4 this morning editing these videos to get them out in time. So it's going to be a long one for me. But as for you guys, go play some guitar. Less clicking, more picket. Oh,